We open on the chaos. Today we dive headfirst into PIPE, the Solana-based project that's gone from whisper to war cry in a few short weeks, and ask the only question that matters to traders and viewers alike: is PIPE about to pump, or are you standing on the edge of a dump? PIPE bills itself as a next-generation, decentralized content delivery network and a community-first memecoin hybrid built on Solana, promising hyper-local points of presence that can cut costs and latency while rewarding contributors. That combination, real utility language coupled with memecoin energy, is exactly the cocktail that has flipped small caps into overnight sensations before, but it's also the same cocktail that's blown up wallets when fundamentals and tokenomics don't line up. Right now the on-chain story is messy but telling. The team released a token with a large max supply, many centralized liquidity pools showed heavy concentration in a few wallets, and community channels have been oscillating between hype threads and careful due diligence, the classic tug-of-war between fear of missing out and fear of losing capital. There are real catalysts to watch. A recent mainnet and rollout and burn mechanics were publicly announced and have been promoted as reasons why supply pressure might decline, and major exchange listings or prominent partnerships could light a rocket, but those same catalysts are often used deliberately as pump triggers by organized groups who buy ahead of the announcement and sell into the excitement. So how do you pass pump signals from trap signals? First, watch volume and holder distribution. A true sustainable rally has broad wallet participation and rising long-term holders. A manufactured pump tends to show thin liquidity, huge spikes in volume with price popping, and a handful of wallets moving large sums into exchanges. Second, examine on-chain token sinks and token unlock schedules. If a big portion of tokens are still locked for insiders with cliffed releases coming soon, a pump that precedes those unlocks frequently turns into a violent dumping event once insiders or venture holders take profits. Third, read the roadmap and map it to actual deliverables. Marketing slides and lofty whitepaper promises are cheap. Delivered code, measurable network throughput, and verifiable burn events are real. For PIPE specifically, there are encouraging operational updates, public testnet throughput, and talk of POP nodes deployed in targeted regions that could justify a Ray rating if adoption metrics continue to grow. But remember that every metric can be spun in a social post. The job of a skeptical trader is to seek independent verification, explore data, GitHub activity, third-party audits. Now, let's walk through two scenarios so you can craft a practical playbook. Scenario: the pump. This happens if a sequence aligns. A tier 1 exchange announces an upcoming listing or a large market-making liquidity injection. On-chain metrics show sustained buying from many retail wallets, not just bots, and C, the team publishes transparent audits and a clear, immediate utility release, for example, the mainnet offering tangible landward credits. In that case, a disciplined trade would be to size small, scale into strength, set tight stops below recent support, and take partial profits at predefined fib levels, because memecoin mania rarely hands you a home run on the first leg. There's usually another retrace. Scenario B, the dump. This looks like sudden social media hype driven by a handful of influencers, price exploding while liquidity depth remains shallow, and whispers of imminent token unlocks or large team sales. If you get caught buying the spike without stop-loss discipline, you can watch the % evaporate in hours. Risk management matters more than rightness here. Define your max loss before you click buy, and don't confuse narrative with numbers. For content creators and sellers, this is a chance to educate your audience, show them how to read liquidity pools, how to check wallet concentration on explorers, and how to verify token burns instead of repeating a press release as proof. If you're a long-term believer in the project's CDN vision, consider dollar cost averaging into small positions and staking, or participating in governance only after you confirm decentralization and a reasonable vesting schedule. If you're a short-term trader, prefer liquid pairs, keep position sizes tiny relative to your portfolio, and exit into strength. Remember the psychological dynamics. Memecoins recruit optimism, and optimism draws leverage. The moment leverage piles in, volatility explodes. That's where rug pulls and quick dumps find their prey. Also watch for copycat tokens and fake token restaurants that piggyback on PIPE's name or community. Always verify contract addresses, double-check exchange listings, and be suspicious of DMs promising private sales or pre-launch insider access. Now let me be blunt about signs that scream dumping coming: sudden, unexplained spikes in whale sell pressure, a lack of verifiable burn proof, token locks with vague legalese, or a vaporous roadmap that promises solved world problems without demonstrable code. Conversely, credible bullish signs include repeated, verifiable network throughput increases, transparent third-party audits, a healthy and growing number of unique POP nodes, and a broadening of holders across many small wallets rather than a few whales. From a consent perspective, narratively juicy moments to highlight for your viewers are the timelines show the date of any mainnet launch announcements, the size and timing of token burns, and whether the team published audited smart contracts. These details make your story defensible and help viewers make smarter choices. Practically speaking, if you decide to participate in a potential pump, use limit buys to avoid front-running bots, set stop-loss orders that reflect true support, not emotional wish lists, and plan profit-taking in layers self when to 30% at the first big resistance, another 30% as you reach the next fib level, and keep a sliver only if you truly believe in long-term product adoption. If you suspect a dump, tighten stops or exit entirely and preserve capital because you can always re-enter later after the smoke clears and the charts stabilize. Finally, a public service reminder, this script is intended to educate and narrate, not to provide financial advice. Crypto markets are high risk, and meme accounts are especially speculative. Always do your own research, verify contract addresses, and never invest more than you can afford to lose. So, pump or dump? The honest answer is, it depends on which signals dominate in the coming days. Real, sustained adoption and transparent tokenomics create a path to a genuine pump, concentrated liquidity, large upcoming unlocks, and height-driven buying point to a dump. For viewers, the takeaway is simple: trade the data, not the hype, check on-chain concentration, vet team vesting schedules, and treat any sudden social media-fueled surge with extreme caution. If the next few updates from the PIPE team continue to show verifiable network usage and third-party validation, PIPE could be in the very early innings of a utility story that attracts steady capital. But if the narrative is all PU and the charts show thin liquidity and whale concentration, treat it like hot coals and step back. That's the full picture: the technical signals, the human signals, and the practical steps you can take right now to protect capital while still being positioned to participate if the project proves its claims, not because someone shouted to the moon, but because the numbers, distribution, and verifiable adoption support it.